Now we start English language service of voice of Korea from Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Here is a mixed chorus, song of General Kim Il-sung. Winner prisoner meal chorus, song of General Kim Il-sung.
KBOK, Voice of Korea, News Now.
The second meeting of the 5th Plenum of the 7th Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea was held on December 29th. Chairman of the Workers' Party of Korea, Kim Jong-un, kept making reports on the work of the Party Central Committee and the whole of the state affairs. He made an all-round and anatomical analysis of the issues arising in the whole of the nation building, including the state control and economic construction at present. He proposed the orientation of struggle to bring about a decisive turn in the economic development of the country and the people's living, in line with the demand of the Korean Revolution and the building of a powerful socialist country and its practical ways in detail. He presented tasks to rationally arrange the economic work system all over the country and establish a strong discipline, and to urgently correct the serious situation of the major industrial sectors of the national economy, and stress the need to take practical measures to further strengthen the independent economy of the country. Referring to the decisive increase of the agricultural production, he suggested important issues to reap a better harvest under the banner of the scientific farming first principle and effect a fresh turn in all fields of agriculture, including stock breeding and permaculture. He presented tasks and ways to improve science, education, and public health, including issues on giving good political guidance to scientific researchers and on laying solid material and technical foundations in education and public health. He underscored the need to vigorously conduct the movement for increased production and economy and for racial quality, protect the ecological environment, and take thorough measures to prevent natural disasters. Mentioning the need to take proactive and offensive measures to thoroughly ensure the sovereignty and security of the country in conformity with the demand of the prevailing situation, he indicated the tasks to be carried out in the fields of external affairs, munitions industry, and armed forces of Korea. He stressed once again the issues on intensifying the struggle against the anti-socialist and non-socialist practices, strengthening the work of the working people's organizations, and tightening moral discipline in the whole society. The report of Chairman Kim Jong-un, which continued at the second day meeting, enjoyed the support and approval of the entire participants as it analyzed the situation at home and abroad, and represented clear ways to promote the socialist construction in an all-round way and the revolutionary stand and strategy of struggle of the Workers' Party of Korea. The plenum continues.
The international community warmly praises the everlasting achievements of the great leader Kim Jong-il. The Swiss Organizing Committee of the International Festival, in praise of the great persons of Mount Baekdu, the Switzerland-Korea Committee, and the Swiss Group for the Study of the Tsuchi Idea, in their joint statement, noted that the generalissimo Kim Jong-il developed in depth the Sungun idea treated by the generalissimo Kim Il-sung, and formulated the Sungun politics as the main political mode of socialism. They stressed that all the successes made in the DPRK were a brilliant fruition of Sungun, or army first politics. The group for the study of philosophy on the Tsuchi idea of the Maracay Rafael Alberto Escobar Lala University of Education in Venezuela posted an article on the website, which said that Kim Jong-il elucidated the principles of Sungun politics, put primary efforts to the strengthening of military power, and saw that the superiority of Korean-style socialism was fully displayed. The Lao newspaper Pasasan carried an article on the Sungun-based leadership exploits performed by Kim Jong-il, which will shine for all ages. The member of the Political Bureau of the Independent Workers' Party of Senegal praised that the Korean People's Army has been developed into an invincible revolutionary armed force, firmly prepared politically and ideologically, and in military technique, thanks to leader Kim Jong-il's Sungun politics. The chairman of the Finland-Korea Association, the chairman of the Denmark DPRK Friendship Association, the chairman of the Central Council of the People Unity Kyrgyz Republican Political Party of Kyrgyzstan, and Secretary General of the Society for the Promotion of the Relations between Austria and the DPRK, spoke highly of the immortal exploits of Kim Jong-il, who defended the destiny of the country and people with its Sungun politics. Celebration meetings, book and photo exhibitions, seminars, and friendly gatherings were held in Sweden, Switzerland, Bulgaria, and Indonesia between the 13th and the 23rd on the occasion of the 8th anniversary of the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un's appointment as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The events were attended by personages of various circles and other people of the given countries. Speakers said the world people admired the brilliant successes achieved by the Korean people in the strengthening of national power and socialist construction over the past 8 years, holding Kim Jong-un at the supreme post of the Revolutionary Armed Forces. Thanks to his leadership, the Korean people will achieve greater successes, they added. Congratulatory messages to Kim Jong-un were adopted at events held in Sweden and Switzerland. Kim Tae-ryong, member of the Political Bureau of the Central Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, member of the State Affairs Commission, and Premier of the Cabinet of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, inspected different units on the spot. Looking around the Pyongyang Electronic Medical Appliances Factory, he stressed the need to supply in time the materials needed for reconstruction and modernization project in close cooperation with the relevant units, and paid deep concern to providing the workers with good working and living conditions. At the Pyongyang Timber Mill, he called for producing world-level competitive goods by dint of domestic technology and materials. The on-the-spot consultative meetings discussed the issues on building the production processes into energy-saving ones and producing and sending quality fixtures, furniture, and fittings to major construction sites. Earlier, Premier Kim visited the Sunsun engine factory and took practical measures to manufacture truck engines of high performance and develop new products. Meetings of the working people's organizations were held on December 28th to celebrate the 8th anniversary of the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un's appointment as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the DPRK. The reporter and speakers at the meeting of the youth and students held at the Central Youth Hall stressed that it was a great event to be noteworthy in the history of army building and history of the country, that Kim Jong-un was held in high esteem at the supreme post of the armed forces of the DPRK. The reporter and speakers at the meeting of the agricultural workers and members of the Union of Agricultural Workers held in Changcheon Vegetable Cooperative Farm in Sadong District pointed out that as Kim Jong-un was appointed as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the DPRK, the decisive guarantee was provided to firmly maintain the real feature and character of the Revolutionary Armed Forces of the Workers' Party of Korea and carry forward the ever-victorious tradition in the anti-imperial struggle. A performance was given by the Workers' Art Propaganda Squad of the Central Committee of the General Federation of Trade Unions of Korea at the Central Hall of Workers on the 28th, on the occasion of the 8th anniversary of the appointment of the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un as the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. It was appreciated by Hong Chol-jin, Vice Chairman of the Pyongyang City Committee of the Workers' Party of Korea, officials of trade union, and working people. The performers impressively represented the infinite honor and pride of the Korean people, who lead a happy life through generations thanks to Kim Jong-un at the supreme post of the armed forces of the DPRK. Many scientific problems have been settled in the public health sector of the DPRK this year. The Onya Children's Hospital and the Kim Man-yu Hospital have solved the technological problems to raise the quality of artificial lungs and the surgical needle and introduce them into clinical practice. The Medical Appliances Institute, the Kungang or Health Joint Venture Company, and other units have developed modern medical instruments boosting the accuracy of diagnosis of diseases. Programs including Multimedia Medical Encyclopedia program have been developed and updated, medicine database according to different kinds of diseases completed, an information system for test and control of medicines perfected. Hundreds of motion picture programs for treatment of patients have been produced, contributing to putting the education of nurses on a regular and normal basis. The Korean Taekwondo Committee recently brought out new educational books on Taekwondo and Paduk. Taekwondo, Volume 1 and 2 for schools, consist of 10 chapters. They explain conception, birth, development of Taekwondo and its process to be applied to training and competition, theoretical basis for education, and training methods according to grades and degrees. The book profoundly wrote principles of force and application of offensive and defensive methods in particular. As soon as the book is published, it draws the attention of educators and trainees of Taekwondo education units across the country. The book, Way to Possessor of Degree, shows the names and main movements of 12 patterns together with their photos. Books on Paduk help children raise their ability and judgment in playing Paduk, and its fans possess diverse playing techniques.
And that's the end of the news read by Kim Hyun-ok and Lee Hyung-sim. This is Voice of Korea.
Now you are listening to female solo in Bang Chang, Oh Tender-Hearted Father.
factory built by devotion for the people. The medical oxygen factory, a medical oxygen producer and supplier, is in the suburbs of Pyongyang, the capital of the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. The factory was built under the meticulous guidance of the respected Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, who is always concerned to improve the people's health. He proposed building the factory, chose its site in the best place in the suburbs of Pyongyang, and looked at its miniature several times. And in May 2105 or 2016, he came out to the construction site with clouds of dust here and there to solve the big and small problems arising in the project one by one. And he decided about the duration of the project. Informed that the factory was wonderfully built, he visited it, and looking with a bright smile at the full view of the snug and neat factory like a picture, praised the builders, saying, "They wonderfully built the factory into a smart edifice. They made great efforts to finish the project in time." Kim Jong-un looked round the oxygen separating room, gas oxygen filling room, oxygen supply store, and different other places of the factory to learn in detail about its construction and plan of management and operation. That day he said the medical oxygen factory is not big, but it is a small yet big factory protecting the lives of the people and making an active contribution to the improvement of their health. And he gave detailed instructions on normalizing production, on doing the management of equipment and technical management properly, and on thoroughly establishing the inspection system to supply good quality oxygen. He also said with great pleasure, "I'm happy to think that I've done another worthwhile job for the people. This is happiness." The medical oxygen factory is a noble crystallization of the love for the people of Kim Jong-un, who always thinks of the people first and spares nothing for their happiness.
So far, you've been listening to an account titled "A Factory Built by Devotion for the People." This is Voice of Korea.
Please enjoy your trumpet solo, "The Blue Sky Over My Country."
present a song, a small white boat carrying our yearning. All the white small boats coming us in yearning, please tell our wish this night too. Anchored by the window of the Party Central Committee, with the light of love shed everywhere to tell our best wishes. Music for Pizzicato, Stars whisper 1, 2, 3. Now you'll enjoy female duet, Mother. light music, Song of Friendship. Dance music, Song of General Mobilization.
Now, you enjoy your male quintet and male chorus. Let's keep the revolutionary face to the death.
with this we conclude the English language service of Voice of Korea from the Democratic People's Republic of Korea. Voice of Korea presents its English language service for Europe between 15 and 16 hours UTC, between 18 and 19 hours UTC, between 21 and 22 hours UTC, and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 7,570 kHz and 12,015 kHz. For North America, between 15 and 16 hours UTC and between 13 and 14 hours UTC on 9,435 kHz and 11,710 kHz. And for Northeast Asia, between 4 and 5 hours UTC and between 6 and 7 hours UTC on 7,220 kHz, 9,445 kHz, and 9,730 kHz. Goodbye, this is Pyongyang.